So I just rambled for a few minutes. I was told this has become my brand now, just rambling until I go into my intro, which is hello, everybody. I am your host, Eric Smith, and we are going to jump right into my favorite horror with multi-genre author and apparently someone with a beautiful, I'm looking at my notes here, a beautiful edged weapons collection. Cath Lauria. Hello.
Hi.
How are you today?
Oh, I'm great.
Oh,
Cold. It's finally cold here, so that's nice.
I was just about to ask. I'm in Ohio, and when I got up to go to work this morning, it was in the 50s, and by the time I left work, it was in the 30s.
Oof. Ooh. Yeah, that's chilly. Well, we've been having weather in the 60s and 70s, which is sort of, and we haven't had any snow yet, which is like,
Wow.
uh-oh, we're screwed. So now it's
We
in the
had
30s.
a little bit of snow already.
Good.
um, well, I had this sort of planned out, but it got thrown out the window because I want to ask about this collection of beautiful edged weapons, according to Simon and Schuster.
Oh, they're so nice. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So, um, I love Well, okay. I went to a faraway land for a couple of years, and everybody there carried knives and machetes and things like that. And I just felt really out of place not having one of my own. And then we came back, and I started doing a knife-based martial art and got into um, tactical folders and things like that, and small straight blades. And my collection has grown and grown and grown. And I think between my husband and I, we've got probably 50
Oh, wow.
different knives of various shapes and forms. And then everybody's got a few swords hanging around, so we keep we keep one in every room just in case. um Someplace where the toddler can't reach them. So,
I didn't even think of knives. I immediately was thinking swords.
oh no, but knives are so great because you can put them in your purse, you can wear them around your neck, you can wear them as a necklace. And they're legal in federal buildings as long as they're under 2-inch blades. So, you can do lots with knives. Whereas swords are just so beautiful, but they're so out there.
Now, do you have just displays for knives that you're not ever going to use? Any nice framed up or shadow boxed or?
I kind of feel weird, like letting too many people see my weapons because it feels like it kind of defeats the purpose. It's like walk into my home and anybody could shatter that and grab it. No. So we actually, we've got a few beautiful luxury pieces up, but for the most part, we just keep them, we rotate through our knives. So,
I just thought that was a very interesting thing on your. You have such a short little bio on the Simon and Schuster site, and that was stood out to
oh,
me.
good. Yeah. It's hard to be interesting.
All right, and then before we get into the first, we sort of have two main events, I think, for me anyway. So before
Excellent.
we get into the first one, you write different genres, and you have at least one particular genre you write under a pen name.
Yes.
And
Yes.
looking at Twitter, you just had something recently come out, and it's on the Twitter. Hopefully, I haven't messed this up in any way. It's described, or you've called it MM Dark Fantasy.
Right.
So, what is MM?
So, when it comes to queer fiction, there are a lot of different subgenres. And one of those subgenres is MM, which is just an abbreviation of male male.
Okay.
And it which is a phrase that has a long history dating back into the fanfic trenches that we're not going to get into. But yes, I like to write a lot about guys. Um, and in this particular case, I called it dark fantasy because I should have called it dark horror, honestly, because I've been getting these reviews that are like, "Oh my God, this is too dark. Where's the romance?" And I'm like, there's a happily ever after. I love writing happily ever afters. It's part of that particular pen name's brand, is that eventually everything's going to work out okay. But I do terrible things in the interim. So yeah, I just had that come out. That was a Patreon serial for my friends on that site. And yeah, I've been doing that for, God, a long, long, long time. Way before I got my start with Aconite and the comic books and Simon and Schuster. That's all very novel and very new. So.
All right. Well, I assumed that that's what it stood for, but I didn't want to come out and make that assumption.
That's good.
Just in case.
Yeah.
So how many books in that genre do you have?
Like just stories and more, over 100.
Oh wow.
Novels like 20.
Oh.
And that includes ones that I've co-authored with other people and that kind of thing. So
and you want to share your pen name? Where
sure.
people can find those?
Sure. It's Cari Z, Cari, and then just a Z at the end of it. Facebook gave me a really hard time originally trying to make an author name with that name. They're like, you can't have a single letter as your last name. I'm like, just work with me here. So.
All right, great. Yeah. All right, so you mentioned Aconite.
Yes.
I did not realize, and one of the reasons I said in the introduction, just sort of multi-genre, I did not realize until, again, looking at some of your things online, the Simon and Schuster and everything, that you had a story in here.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
I think, well, I was going to say all of the Arkham Horror that Aconite has put out, but they may have recently put some out that I haven't picked up yet. And of course, this is a short story collection, and you've got a piece in here. So what was that like, working on some H.P. Lovecraft inspired? I love this cover too.
I know. Oh, the artist for those covers is just inspired. And that one was kind of funny. I actually got called into pinch hit for that.
Okay.
I hadn't. I'm only now sort of getting really comfortable with not just reading, but also writing the horror genre. And so I had done another short story for Aconite with that was science fantasy, totally different. And then they were putting together that anthology, and I got an email from their head editor, and she was like, so we're a story short. What can you write in less than a month? And I said, I'm sure I can come up with something, because people knock on your door, you don't say, nope, sorry. I'm not going to take that opportunity by. So, so did some research and read some of their other books and came up with something that I thought was a little bit different, and was lucky enough to get into that anthology. So nice. That was an invite sort of situation. Yeah.
Now, were you a Lovecraft fan before that?
Only of the artwork. I like a lot of the authors of that era. I've like those incredible pulpy 30s and 40s kinds of authors. I inherited a bunch of my father's paperbacks from that era, but I never really dove deep into Lovecraft. By the time I really became aware of him, I was also aware that there were a lot of really good horror writers out there. And so it's kind of like, how much time do you have in the day? Do you go back, or do you just pick up where you are and keep moving forward? So
were you familiar with the Arkham Horror game at all?
No, no, I was not. I did a lot of reading for like a week. Everything I read was Arkham Horror and the Arkham Horror books and stories. And then I was like, okay. And got enough of a handle on it to write a short story. Certainly if I were going to go back to that realm, I would do a lot more work and a lot more reading. And I'd probably pick up some Lovecraft because just, it's obviously so clearly influenced by it. But they've got some amazing writers in that imprint already. What just came out? Cult of the Spider Queen?
Yeah, that's the one that I haven't picked up yet.
Yeah, me neither, but I want it.
That's got a great cover as well.
I'm amazing.
Excuse me. I actually had the very first edition of the game Arkham Horror.
Oh my God.
Way back. I wish I still had it. Way back in the day when it was much, much, much simpler to play than it is now. I currently have the second edition or
Okay.
Third edition. Fantasy Flight had the second edition, which I had. Now that's the third edition, I believe.
Wow.
So I've been a fan for a long time. And as I said, I have, well, except for Cult of the Spider Queen, I have all of the Aconites, which I didn't realize that's who the publisher was when I started buying them.
Right.
It wasn't until I started getting their Marvel stuff that I paid attention to the other things that they were putting out.
Oh, honey.
And now, so you mentioned you had done another short story for them. Was that in the Keyforge
Yes, that was in the
anthology?
Yeah, that was so much fun.
I've played that game too.
Oh my God, you are with it.
Well, I'm a big fan of the board and card games. And now, and you also have a short story, I believe, in the, is it School of X?
Yes, I just got my author copies. They're upstairs on my table. They look so good. Yeah.
I have to admit, I do not have any of the Xavier Institute books at the moment. Because I'm bad. I'm a bad person.
My dude, there's so much to keep up with, but those are some, I've picked up almost all of those, I think.
I'm not a huge fan of the X-Men.
I know the feeling.
I always tell people, I always say I'm anti-mutant, which isn't actually true. And I do like the New Mutants. That's the one comic I actually currently get in the X-Men line.
Right.
I will pick them up eventually, and I think a short story collection is a good place to start.
That's what I thought when I saw they were talking about the different lines, and we get, update emails every now and then. They're like, we have this coming up. We have this coming up. What do you think of this? And I've been looking at the X-Men stuff, and I was like, nope, 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 count me out. Nope, too complicated. Oh my God, who can keep up? And then I saw this anthology opportunity come along, and I was like, well, wait a second. I've already read most of these characters, and I guess I could give something a try. And so, yeah, I think in both for writing and for reading, a short story collection is a good way to kind of jump into that realm. It's so confusing. Oh my God.
A lot of history.
Yes.
I don't have any of the, what is it, Tales of Asgard? Is that what they call the Legends of Asgard?
Legends of Asgard. I don't have any of those yet either, but again, epic covers.
Yes. Yeah, the covers are all fantastic.
Yeah.
I think the first one that I got in the Marvel line was the Doctor Doom.
Oh my God, yes.
That huge fan of Doctor Doom.
Did you have when does the sequel come out? Oh.
Sometime next year.
Okay. It's got such a good cover, but also, I mean, vampires, you can't go wrong.
Yes. But to lead into sort of main event,
sure.
Number one, the book that I was most excited about when I saw it was coming out would be by an author named Cath Lauria, and that is Elsa Bloodstone.
Oh, praise.
Right there. I'm a huge fan of this character. So I was
awesome that you knew her.
So excited for this. Picked it up immediately, read it as soon as I could. So my big question for you is, how did this come about?
Oh, because I prayed to the right dark gods, I guess.
Nice.
Sacrificed the right virgin at the right time. No, I'm just kidding. There are no virgins. I got so lucky. This was after I got my foot in the door with the Keyforge story. Thank God. I subscribed to some person's like random list of opportunities that comes up via their Patreon, and they keep their finger on the pulse of what's going on in science fiction and fantasy. And they led me to Aconite, and I slid in like through the crack in the door to get to work with them because I didn't have any like pro level I had small presses and indie presses and mid-sized presses experience before that, but I didn't have anything like Simon and Schuster level, like nothing big 5, nothing big 4. And then the list for these different lines started to come out. Asgard, the villains, and then the heroines. And Elsa Bloodstone was one of the ones that they had listed as a character. Yeah, I know. Like these other people, Domino was listed originally. Rogue, I don't actually think Rogue was listed originally, but she got one of the first books. And then Elsa Bloodstone. And I was like, oh, shut up. What? A monster hunter who's got a special, powerful, magical gem. And I had actually seen her a few times before, but I didn't know much about her. So then I did a deep dive and I was like, holy crap, I've got to write this person. And so I basically begged my way into pitching her and then got the okay. So yeah, that was so lucky. She's amazing.
See, I was going to ask. I'm surprised that it was already on the list. Because she's a pretty obscure character, I think.
She is. Yeah, she kind of is, especially when I look back on it now, considering who some of the other characters that they had like on offer were. She was probably the least well known of all of them, but that also was kind of probably part of what I liked about her because, as I mentioned earlier, X-Men is super intimidating because there's so much history, and there will always be somebody who sends you a grumpy email and is like, "Excuse you, did you forget about, this third run from the 1980s and the episode, the issue where X, Y, and Z happened?" And I'll be like, "Yes, I didn't even know. I'm sorry." So she just seemed a little bit less intimidating and also awesome. So yeah.
Um, Now, did anybody send you reading and research material, or did you have to dig it up on your own?
So I got lucky there. Again, the head editor at Aconite has let me use her subscription to all the Marvel comics online. So
Mm-hmm.
I basically looked up everything I could find with Elsa in it that was online, read through it all, ordered what I could in hard copy. Um, Honestly, her original run doesn't really have anything to do with the character these days. So I kind of looked at that and was like, she's not blonde, she's not a teenager, like things have changed. Uh, so yeah, I read up everything I could and then just kind of went for it. And I do love urban fantasy. Like I love that kind of heroic ass kicking urban fantasy. And so I felt like she was a good character to take in that direction. And that was something I've got a lot of comfort reading. So it gave me kind of a guideline with the kind of story I wanted to write.
And I think I mentioned in my review that I got that urban fantasy vibe from it.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect. That's what I love to hear.
And I was going to pull some things off my shelf. I always look at things that I know people can't see. The camera doesn't encompass everything, but over here is all of my, or most of my trade paperbacks and hardcover comic book stuff.
Hmm.
And I think my introduction to Elsa was in Next Wave.
Yeah.
And then, so I have those. I have that in hardcover.
Nice.
I have the complete Bloodstone something, because it's got the stuff with her father, the old
Right.
black and white stuff.
Oh my
And
gosh.
then is it Legion of Monsters
Yep.
mini that she was in.
She was.
So I've got that. And
Wow.
the last time I saw her was in Deadpool,
Yeah.
King
Just
Deadpool.
uh-huh.
And I actually haven't finished that run. I have the collected edition. So the last I saw her, she was dying. And I don't know what happened. So
Well,
I have to finish reading that.
yes. Yeah, so do I. But I dare say, even if she's dead, she won't stay that way because she's too cool
Well, we
to
do
let.
know there's a one shot coming out
When?
that uh when does it come out? It's the Death of Doctor Strange Bloodstone one shot.
Oh my God, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go. Elsa
So,
lives.
yes.
Again.
And she was in, there was a Jessica Jones,
Yeah.
the originally it was digital.
Hmm.
Then when they came out in physical form, that's when I got them. She was in that as well.
Yeah, that was fun.
Two great female kick-ass characters that I love.
Oh, I know. That was so
Yeah.
good. I love Jessica Jones. Yeah.
Um, I'm getting the core issues for the Death of Doctor Strange, so like
Okay.
1 through 5. I'm
Hmm.
not getting any of the one shots, but I ordered the collected edition with those. So it'll
Awesome.
be a while before I get to read her story.
I
It's
like
in,
collected editions too. Yeah.
and there is now in your book, she has a sister.
Right.
And in this one shot that they've solicited, they say she has a sister. So what's up with that?
That's a good question. Has my influence spread? Ooh,
Maybe.
God, I hope so. That would be fantastic. Aw, man, it's weird because we read the comics and everything we write gets vetted by an editor at Marvel, and they tell us what we can and cannot do, and you can use this character, you can't use that character, you can do this kind of cameo, you can't do that. And I was given the super okay, and like the editors who I was working with on Elsa Bloodstone really knew their stuff. So if they have anything to do with this upcoming one shot, and if, life is good, then maybe she will have seeped through into the canon universe. Oh,
I love that these books follow the comics. They're in the comic world, not the MCU.
right.
Nothing wrong with the MCU. I love it. But I have like tons of Marvel novels.
Oh, nice.
I've got some from the 70s.
Oh my God.
I actually have a couple from the 60s. Um, and I think I'm trying to think of any of them felt influenced by the movies at all. I think most of them are just sort of firmly established. They do take characters that are popular because of the movies
Right.
in a lot of cases.
We were actually warned away from that in some cases. I wanted to pitch something for Elektra, and they were like, nope, nope, nobody from none of the television series is, nope, you can't have this person, you can't have that person.
Except that you do have someone from one of the TV shows.
So, like cameo style?
She's in a few chapters, right? Or just one? I don't remember now how long her appearance is.
Hmm.
Right?
Just one chapter? I think I do. But we're not allowed, like, they're not, we can't make them main characters. Like, yeah.
And
Yeah.
there was, I mean, you did have Matt Murdock on the phone.
Yes, I did. And actually, oh my God, I can't wait for Black Cat to come out because I played it super safe with the cameos in Elsa Bloodstone because the first few I tried, they were like, nope, nope, nope. And I was like, okay, okay. I won't have anybody. We won't even see this person. We'll just talk with this person. It's going to be. But in the Black Cat novel, oh my God, I was like, can I have this guy? And they were like, yep. I was like, what about this guy? Yep. Can I have this guy? And they were like, yes, yes, yes. So I got everything I wanted.
I'm
Huge
now
names.
I'm looking forward to it even more.
Oh my God, it's so much fun. You think you got some Matt Murdock exposure last time? Oh, we are having shenanigans galore. Oh my God. And
But
also the book corresponds to the 60th anniversary of Spider-Man, so of course he's got a cameo. So, oh my God.
well, I am a fan of the Daughters of the Dragon, so it was nice to see Misty Knight. I'm just gonna say it. Spoilers, I guess, for anybody who hasn't read it yet.
Oh, I love her. I wish I could have done more with her. Uh, she was actually one of the people, and it's funny because she is in the the television series, but then they were like, she's also someone you might want to, like, somebody might want to write. And I was like, well, probably someone more qualified than me, uh, being the super white person that I am. But yeah, she's super cool. I love her. If I could have done more with her, I would have.
I've been really, really happy with this line, this whole Marvel Aconite thing. Um, I have all of the heroines so far,
Oh, great.
although this is the only one I've read so far. I am a fan of Domino and
Mhm.
Outlaw.
Yeah.
Rogue, again, anti-mutant, um, but I do have it.
It's fair. It's fair. Yeah, my husband is reading the Domino book right now, and I am reading Outlaw currently. So that's our nightstand. He's got Domino, I've got Outlaw.
I just read Witches Unleashed,
Ah, Carries!
which was I was very, very excited for that. I'm a longtime Ghost Rider fan, but Satana,
Mm-hmm.
love Damon Hellstrom, love Satana. And the character I was least familiar with was Topaz,
Right. Yeah, I didn't. I had
which
seen.
I shouldn't be because I have the complete collection of Werewolf by Night. I just haven't read all of it yet.
You have a lot of media, okay? Don't be down on yourself. No, that's oh yeah. Yeah. Another book that like I mean, I think she's a great writer, period. I haven't read Witches Unleashed yet, but I do own it. Uh, it's just a matter of how much time do I have in the evening between putting my kiddo to bed and falling into a unconscious stupor myself. Um, but yeah, I've got that one, and then I know she just turned in her Dark Avengers book, and I'm really looking forward to that.
Oh, she's doing a Dark Avengers as well?
Yes.
I have the Patriot list,
Oh
but I
yeah.
haven't read that one yet. Very excited for that. I get every time I hear like the latest announcement from Aconite, especially in their Marvel line. I just get so excited.
They're managing it so well. I feel really like just the level of editorial engagements and feedback and encouragement that you get is so consistently good.
I would go insane, possibly literally,
Beta
if they announced a Beta Ray Bill.
Ray Bill.
You don't know Beta Ray Bill? Oh, I wish I have. I'm looking at a Beta Ray Bill action figure over there, a a Funko Pop there. I'm
Oh my God.
sure. Let me see. I'm sure I have a picture somewhere. Oh, actually, I do know I have a picture. Uh, let's see. No, that's not the one. I want this. This is compelling viewing for people as I scroll through my phone trying to find a picture. Beta Ray Bill is an alien version of Thor.
Oh my God. What? Thor's already an alien version of himself. What?
He, I know I have a picture somewhere. Um, it's when Walt Simonson was writing Thor, and it was. Oh, there's a picture of Elsa Bloodstone.
Nice.
And this alien race was being attacked by Surtur, I think, and their warrior Bill proved worthy. He was able to pick up Thor's hammer
Oh, that's awesome.
and became Beta Ray Bill, and impressed Odin so much that Odin had his hammer made for him. Well, here's all right. This is a picture from a game. It's not the best, but
Oh.
that's that's Beta Ray Bill.
Oh, awesome.
So I don't know if they would fit it into. And he was recently, I believe, he was King of Asgard.
Oh, goodness. So maybe a Legends of Asgard kind of thing.
That's
How
what
would you?
I'm hoping for.
I will
Oh,
say,
the other.
putting it out there is the thing to do. Like with Black Cat, they didn't suggest her. Like I was like, I want to do another heroines novel, and they were like, okay, cool. Who do you like? It's like, well, shit. I guess I better go start looking at my shelves and seeing who I enjoy. And she came up and I was like, how do you feel about this one? And they were like, yes.
Well,
So,
here's another one I'd like to see in the heroines line.
oh,
Tigra.
yeah,
Tigra book
that
would
would be
be
amazing.
fun. I'm
No,
still. Oh, there's a.
it's good. Fire stuff out there because, gosh, somebody on Twitter, who did they recommend to me the other day? Songbird. And I was like,
Oh, nice.
yeah. And I was like, I'll look that shit up because,
Well, I would love to see a classic Thunderbolts story.
oh, sure.
I do have a novel from the aughts. Not sure when it came out. That's Avengers Thunderbolts.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I would love to see those characters. But I mean, there's so many. Spider Woman.
Oh, God, I know. Why hasn't there been a
Great.
Spider-Woman novel yet?
Or Spider. I don't know if they're allowed to do spider characters.
I mean,
I don't know what their whole thing is. I would love to see Spider Gwen.
Spider-Gwen would be amazing.
Here's my Beta Ray Bill Funko.
That's cute.
He just had a mini series earlier this year.
Keep bringing it back.
But yeah, I would love to see just so many. I mean, I've been a comic book fan for decades and decades and decades, my entire life. So I'm always excited for more prose material.
That's cool. I'm glad. Yeah, my prose novels, and I never had all that many of them, but they're the ones that have stuck with me. Like I'm a novel hound. I have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of books in this house. And my husband's like, what do you want for your birthday? And I'm like, a bookshelf, another one. We need more. Um, but those are the ones that carry along with me. So.
Unfortunately, I have very limited space. So I don't know how many bookshelves filled with books, and then like 12 piles of books on the floor. Unfortunately, I hate to keep them that way, but
Yeah.
and a book cart now.
Yeah, I've got books on my bedside table, and then I have books under my bedside table, and then I have books under my bed, and I have a shelf above my bed full of books. So, yeah, I know that problem.
All right. Anything else you want to say about Aconite before we move on?
Gosh, honestly, my goodness, they're great to work for. You get to use a lot of creativity. You get to pitch a lot of cool projects. I hope to have more exciting stuff coming out with them in the future. Uh, including possibly even horror. So honestly, talking about space zombies with you tonight is very apropos. You may come back, in a year and be like, let's talk space zombies.
Well, that being said, let's get to our non-sponsor. Before we jump into the main event, I've got my fake ad because nobody's actually sponsoring me, but I'm hoping someday someone will or send me something. And I always try to pick something that's somehow tied to what we're talking about. So tonight's episode is not sponsored by Zombicide Invader. There we go. Talking about space zombies. So, for those who don't know, Zombicide is a board game. There's different scenarios. You play humans fighting off zombies, and there's the regular one. There's a like one that takes place during the plague. There's an Old West version. There is a Night of the Living Dead version. But for this one, this is zombies in space, essentially. Zombicide Invader. This isn't going to show up very well, but there's like the back of the box, all the stuff that comes in it. So you're in space, you're fighting waves and waves of zombies, and tying it back into Aconite. I already have the first Zombicide novel, and I believe
the modern day one, right?
Right, and the second one from Tim Wagner, I believe, is Invader.
I am so looking forward to reading his book.
Yes, very excited about that. But I'm telling people now, go out, buy, play Zombicide Invader from Simon Games, Space Zombies, very exciting. And I will just throw out there, Simon just announced their 50th Kickstarter campaign.
Oof.
They don't have a date yet. It's not up on Kickstarter yet. Marvel Zombies Zombicide.
What?
Marvel Zombies Zombicide. Let's see. I have pictures of things.
God.
All right, this is a picture I took off my TV, so this does not show up well at all. But I'm gonna show it anyway.
Zombie Cap. Oh.
And let's see. They were sending this around to people to promote it. Again, this is off my TV. This is a 2-foot tall zombie Galactus.
Nice.
And in this version, you play the zombies. You are the zombie heroes.
Oh, that's awesome.
But not to be confused with Zombicide Invader, our non-sponsor for this episode. But, all right, so let's get to the main event. And folks, we're going to be talking about Contagion by Erin Bowman, right? I'm reading that. So if we're going to have, there's going to be spoilers. So if you haven't read the book, just pause this video, go read the book real quick, and then come back and watch the rest of the video.
Yeah.
All right. And actually, before we get into it, you said that Alien is your favorite setting, one of your favorite settings.
It is.
So why Contagion and not an Alien movie or book or comic or anything in the Alien family?
Right. So, and I got the Alien, the Alien movies are probably my favorite science fiction / horror movies out there. I love sci-fi horror, particularly in movie format. Event Horizon, all the Alien stuff, Pitch Black. I love it. That said, the actual novelization of Alien was not my favorite. And it's probably because I watched the movie first, which is unfortunate. I am sort of if I read the book, I don't want to watch the movie. Or if I watch the movie, then I don't want to read the book because I get a really clear picture in my mind on how things are supposed to be. So I went with Contagion instead, which is very similar in a lot of ways to Alien.
Yeah. I got it from the library, so I don't have a physical copy. So here's another phone picture of the book.
Yes. So it's very similar in tone and setting and levels of like death and desperation. And I just, space is made for darkness, right? It's the perfect horror setting. So yeah, and I was really, when I read Contagion, one of the things a few reviews kind of derisively stated as I was getting into it was, well, this is YA horror. And I'm like, well, YA, being a young adult is a horrifying thing. So I find that incredibly appropriate. But yeah, I loved it.
Well, I will say, not to jump ahead, but since you kind of brought it up, I didn't think it felt YA until the end.
Right.
Not that I've read a lot of YA, modern YA, because I'm not a YA. But I'm familiar with the Hunger Games. On Bad Movie Night, we watched the Divergent movies.
Good. Yeah, that's appropriate.
And so it wasn't until the end that I got that sort of feeling, that trope of YA, the young adults now are going to go up against the system.
Right. And to be honest, I don't feel like it's set up that way for almost everything. And they even come up with she comes up with a decent biological kind of explanation for why they're the only ones left to go up against the system in the end.
Well, before we jump into all of that, and I do want to get into all of that, can you give us a quick synopsis of the book?
Sure.
Those who don't know.
So Contagion follows the crew, a small crewed ship that is being sent to act as, I won't say backup. They're going after a distress signal on the planet Aklis. And they go through some cryosleep to get there, and they arrive, and everyone's got their own particular motivations to go down or not to go down. But the person who's in charge sort of forges through all of the complaints and potential, incredibly logical people who are like, wait, maybe we shouldn't. And they get down into the planet, and things go from bad to worse to much worse. And then the contagion that took out the people who had been there before begins to infect the people who have arrived to help those poor people. And before you know it, it's raging through the crew, and they have to try to escape. And a survivor from the last expedition, the only real survivor, kind of joins their crew, but has his own motives. And then by the end of it, they do get back into space. And
well, some of them do.
Some of them do, yes. Many people die. Like, some of it you can see coming from a mile away, too. It's like the guy whose nickname is Cleaver. I'm sorry, you're dying. You're dying super fast. And in fact, he did. Or at least was infected. So, yeah. So, in that way, you see it coming from a mile out. Like, people are going to die. Most everybody's going to die. Actually, more people survive than I thought would. But I loved, there are some really divergent motivations and things that play into why they're there and who ends up surviving and what they're all keeping from each other. So it's more than just horror. It's thriller. It's kind of psychological examination. It's dystopian. It's good. Yeah.
Well, it does follow Alien a bit, I think, because we start with a distress call.
Mm-hmm.
So we have these people, we're meeting our characters, and they're on a planet, a snow planet. They're on Hoth, basically. And they're evacuating because of a storm, but they get a distress call, and so a small contingent of them are sent to Aklis.
Right.
So right there, answering a distress beacon. Then they get there. Now, no face hugger pods or anything, but they do find dead bodies, like pretty right off the bat.
Yeah.
Not a good sign. But eventually there is a scene that to me is reminiscent in feeling or tone of the face hugger, the egg scene. Mm-hmm. And then I guess we kind of get a face hugger-ish. I mean, not literally, but where that previous scene pays off in the freaky way. We'll get into the detail. I'm trying to be vague here, but although we will get into it. So I'm very happy you picked this. I was not at all familiar with Erin Bowman or the book, but I read it on Thanksgiving. Tore through it. And as I said, it did not feel to me like young adult until the end, where we sort of get a trope, I think, of young adult books, at least modern young adult books. But and I was almost certain I would remember character names between Thanksgiving and now, but they've all gone out of my head except for Thea, our main character. And fortunately, the sequel has a couple names on the back. So there's a couple other names that I have here because I couldn't remember the survivor's name from the previous expedition.
To be fair, he's got like 3 different names because he's being a different person. Yeah. I had to skim through it again myself to make sure I had all the names.
Like I don't remember the captain's name.
Dylan.
That Nova has a crush on.
Yeah. That's Dylan.
I don't remember Nova's cousin's name.
Sullivan. Yeah.
And I would say even I don't remember which one it is. I don't remember if it's Cleaver or not. But you have sort of the Bill Paxton character, the sort of
Yeah.
obnoxious character.
Yep. I think it is him. Yeah. Yeah. And that's probably a lot of what attracted me to the story in the first place was the familiarity of it. Like, I think familiarity in, there's no new idea under the sun, or so they say. And I think particularly in something like horror, where uh, people have really strong opinions on what they like. And I surprisingly found that I am one of those people who has really strong opinions about what I like. So when I saw the similarities to Alien, for me, that was like, oh, yes, thank God. Oh, I know I'm going to enjoy this now, or at least I'm going to enjoy it more than I might otherwise.
You're in familiar territory.
Exactly. And I kind of dig that. And that's a holdover, I think, from being the kind of author under my pen name who understands writing to genre expectation, because that's what you do in romance. You better, or you get angry emails again. And so with these books, I felt like going into it, I felt a little bit comforted, because when it comes to jump scare horror, can't do it. I can't handle slasher films. I just, even though those two conform to convention in their own way, and like, we're going to scare the shit out of you. I'm like, yeah, you are. And I don't appreciate that about you. If anybody's going to scare the shit out of me, it's going to be an alien. So, so that's, yeah, it's good to know what you like sometimes.
Excuse me. So, yeah, we get to know our characters, and Thea is from a foster system.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be
Yeah.
the appropriate way to say it. She's an intern.
Yep.
Oh, I forgot. I don't remember the doctor's name either.
Dr. I think Tarlo. I don't remember her first name.
Yeah, something
Dr.
like that.
Tarlo, the survivor from the very first expedition.
Very,
Yeah.
very, not even the previous one, but before that.
Right.
Yes. So she's a teen. She's just an intern helping out the doctor who's got the shakes.
Mm-hmm.
And then Nova is 20,
Yeah.
around there. Was kicked out of the Air Force Academy, for lack of a better way to put it, because she had eye surgery, which is weird. They're
I know.
like, yeah, your eyesight's fine, but you had surgery to make it that way, so you can't fly.
Yep. Sorry about that, kiddo.
So now she's a pilot for this company, which I thought was going to be, when I was reading it, I was like, oh, this company is like the exact opposite of Weyland-Yutani. They're a
Mm-hmm.
good company. They're good. It sounds like they've got good policies. They take
Right.
care of their people. They have all of this. And then by the end, it's like, nope, they're Weyland-Yutani.
Yep. Yep. That's another one where it's like, oh, we're setting them up to be good, so they're going to be bad. Definitely, there's some foreshadowing in there. I mean, when you think they're going to be good, and yet at the same time, what is everybody looking for in this book? What's everybody trying to find? They're searching for this special fuel or resource
Right.
that's going to help them do what everybody wants to do. And that is, and that's, and you see so many parallels to that today, where it's like, oh, we're going to go after this incredibly dangerous and deadly and destructive thing, and maybe you'll live, maybe you won't. Not our problem. Uh, So yeah, that was another one you could sort of see coming from a mile away. But again,
I did.
oh, you didn't. Well,
No, I was going to say, I did. I liked the world building that was done. There's a map, or three little mappish things in the front page. I wonder if they're in this one as well, that show the planets.
mm-hmm.
And nope, this does not have it.
Oh,
Oh no, it does. I just missed it. So it has. I don't know how well that's gonna show
pretty
up.
good.
Shows you the planets and everything, and we get, there's all this stuff about there's been a rebellion. People want to unionize, because it is all about finding this fuel source. And that's what the doctor is on the Hoth planet, that I'm going to keep calling it that. because they have to do these environmental studies, and they, again, I believe they say they don't want to impact anything.
They do.
They're
Yeah.
supposed to be the good guys. Um, so we have that going on, and there's, as we saw here, there's the Fringe, and then the United Planetary Coalition and the Fringe, and there's tensions between those two. It feels like the Fringe is where all the stuff is coming from, but it's the coalition that runs everything, and the Fringe sort of wants their own independence. So there's a lot of that.
Right.
Really, just again, I'm not super familiar with modern young adult stuff, but seemed like really, really good, solid world building.
I thought it was pretty deft. Yeah. Because honestly, I mean, in a situation like the one that they put out in Contagion, where, I mean, honest to God, I'm in it for the space zombies, right? Like, time to scare the shit out of me and have people come back to life. But it's made richer by the fact that you've got this kind of creepy background with, who's the good guy, who's the bad guy, who are these people working for again? And yet I feel like they didn't overshadow the horror as it progressed. Like it was more,
Not at all.
yeah, it was sort of, that's sort of something that we refer to every now and then, but not so much that it takes away from the luster of the horrible watery abyss. So
So this small crew goes to Aklis to answer the distress call, and it feels well written that they have to wear their suits. They have a limited supply of oxygen. It's not one of those, oh, this is just like Earth, so we can wander around.
oh my God, I've been watching a lot of Star Trek Next Generation recently. And may I say, every time they go down to a planet in nothing but their uniforms and skin, I'm like, dudes, I know you've got the transporter on your side, but come on, something is going to kill you. Please wear an environmental suit.
I listened to a podcast called Treks in the City, and they're covering. It's actually over because they've gotten to the end of it, but they covered every episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Oh my gosh!
And I was watching that when it was brand new, and so, but listening to them talk about them now, I'm like, yeah, there was some dumb stuff in there, and yeah, every planet is just like Earth. What, Class M? They're all Class M planets. 99% of the aliens, the only difference between them and humans is their foreheads.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, again, understandable, budget constraints, all of that stuff. But it's just like, come on. There's a point where it just gets silly.
It does. Yeah, we're halfway through the third season right now, and I'm like, there's a terrible storm down there. You're about to get cut off from your ship. You know you're going to get cut off from your ship. Like, don't fall in the water. You wouldn't have to worry about that if you're wearing a better suit, but whatever. Anyway.
And why are you always sending your most important people down?
Oh my God, your away team should not be the head of engineering, the second in command, the one android in the universe, and your chief medical officer. What the hell? What the hell? Yeah.
Exactly.
I kind of got a Dr. Crusher vibe with Dr. Tarlo. Like, here I am wandering into a terrible situation because I believe that what I'm doing is right. And it's like, okay.
Well, Tarlo's got some things going on.
She does, though, and I really enjoyed her character development. I liked everything from her tremor to her unexpected status to the multiple endings, so to speak. Like, there's nothing like a good death to life to death story, I guess. Yeah, but that was fun. Yeah, I really enjoyed her as a character. I enjoyed Thea a lot. I enjoyed Cohen, the survivor from the previous expedition. I thought he was pretty great. And I thought, and the deeper you get into it, the more you realize, the more the different perspectives that you get on people all start to coalesce and make sense. And that was one thing I thought this author did really well. She was managing a big cast and doing an ensemble kind of book, which I feel is very intimidating as a writer, because who needs to say what when in order for you to take the reader from point A to point B, without going over to point Z. So I thought that was pretty deftly done. And that's the sort of thing. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, Cohen had the little interstitials or whatever you'd want to call them. I believe literally the first part of the story is Cohen.
Right.
But we don't know that's who it is yet.
Right.
It's just this kid going into the vents as something is pounding, trying to get into the doors, through the doors. So as we're following the crew and Thea and everybody, we get these little interstitials from the perspective of this other character that we haven't met yet.
Yeah.
And that, I think, helps. I don't know if disguise is the right word. Maybe muddy the waters as to his motivations, because they have serious trust issues with him, of course, right. Especially since he's the only survivor.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a note written in blood.
Subtle, so subtle. Yes. Don't trust it. Blood.
Yes. Yeah. So he was a great character. And I like that. So they arrive at. I don't remember the name of the station on Aklis.
I don't either.
But they arrive there, wearing their suits. They get into the station, and start finding bodies and blood. And then they get to the med bay, and I think that's where we get our first hint that the doctor may not be on the up and up, because she sees the open freezer refrigerator thing with the kelp in it.
Right. And then she's like, ding, 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 ding.
And then locks it up and doesn't tell anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have to go search the actual drilling site.
Because of course they do.
Yes. And of course there's a storm coming. But that's what leads to what I consider the finding the alien egg pods, the facehugger sacks, whatever you want to call them.
Yep.
When they find the pile of dead bodies.
I agree. Yeah.
That's great. I don't remember which character it is going down. They want to haul one up to examine. Everybody keeps telling the captain, we need to leave. We need to contact the proper people. And the captain, because her father is there, was stationed there, is always, no, this is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to do. That's never good.
No, it's not. It's not. Yeah. She's definitely the running into the closet trying to hide from the murderer under the bed type character in a very aggressive and macho way. Yeah. But it's that kind of stupidity that gives us these books. So we have to treasure it.
Yes. So they're up on the catwalk, and she's insisting they get a body to examine. So they lower someone down. They're trying to wrestle that body, this frozen stiff body, into a body bag. And then they kind of sink down a little bit into the bodies and they say something's pulled them.
Mm-hmm.
And they get scratched or ripped open, their leg just slashed.
Yep.
So to me, that's the face hugger moment.
It is.
Jumps on.
Mm-hmm. And then what do?
And so, of course, they take him back to the med bay.
Yep.
Which is going to lead to our chest burster moment.
Exactly. Yes. Beat for beat through this section, it's alien. And I was just like, oh, it's my happy place. Yes. Here he comes. Here comes the blood. Yes. All right.
But Thea gets separated.
Yep.
And she finds the old
Bunker.
place,
Mm-hmm.
bunker, whatever it is. And that's where we finally meet Cohen.
Yes. And that at the end of that chapter, when she flips the switch, that was where I first really went, what? Really? Because I I got to that part and I was like, oh my God, really? That was abrupt.
Yes, yes. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Now I know exactly. I was thinking you were talking about one thing, but now I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah,
Yeah.
just 2 or 3 words, last sentence of that chapter. Like, wait, what? This is
I was
going in
like,
a
wow,
different
that was like,
direction.
I didn't see that particular incident coming. And then of course things move on and we get introduced to the other character and you know, it we back it up a little bit, but still, yeah, that particular chapter just left me going, huh? What?
Yeah,
Really? Okay.
that was quite unexpected.
Yes, it was.
Um, so then she and Cohen make it back to the main base where
Hmm.
everybody else is. Cohen's trying to warn them. No one wants to listen. They don't trust him. And then we have our chest burster scene where the guy whose leg got slashed is now a zombie,
Yep.
for lack of a better term, and
Alive,
infected.
but infected. Exactly. Yep. And then we have those dang holding stasis cells where, and as soon as you see a stasis cell come in, I've been thinking about that a lot too recently because of Next Generation. It's like, whoa, there's a limited number, and you can't possibly put more than one person into a single cell, and whatever knockout gas you have, it's not going to be good enough. Um, but God forbid, you be bogged down with logic. Get him in there.
Yep,
So,
of course.
yep.
And then of course just things go crazy, and eventually we get to aliens because that pile of bodies was just hibernating
Yeah.
essentially. So we have the alien part where they're just fighting one of their infected friends, compatriots, but eventually all of these bodies that they thought were just a pile of dead bodies, there's a food source now. There's a
It's a
way to spread.
word. God, I love it. It's so classic. It's space zombies done right. It's like it's not just one space zombie. There's a multitude, and they are all coming for you at different speeds.
Yes, different
Yeah.
speeds. And they even later, when Cohen, when they've gotten back to their landing ship and it's stuck in the mud essentially.
Yeah.
Part of the landing gear is stuck in the mud, and the zombies catch up. And Cohen, you think he's killed a couple of them, and then he kind of gets left behind and kills a ton of them.
Hmm.
But one of them is still they thought was dead, isn't. And of course, the more recently they've become infected, the faster they are, the
Yep.
smarter they can still think. Um, so even when they think they've gotten away, they haven't gotten away.
And you have to admire, I feel, the choice in this science fiction setting of a pickaxe as the really functional weapon. It's like, oh, we've got our stun guns. Guess what's not going to work for you? It's like the Star Trek phaser. I'm going to put it on the lowest level. And look, it's not going to work. Shit. And then
Yes.
one person, I think, has a gun with actual bullets in it. Uh,
Yeah. Well,
and then
because the guy from the previous expedition somehow had, oh wait, it goes all the way back because
right.
the doctor's father had a gun,
Yep.
and then that was found by the next expedition that
Hmm.
Cohen is from,
Exactly.
and that guy, the one guy, uses it to kill himself. This is previous to our events,
Yes.
and so our people find that, so now they have the one actual gun.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I love it. I love it. That passage of weapon to weapon, like to different generations of people trying to survive on this particular planet. But I also just really appreciate a pickaxe. I mean, like you noted, I like edged weapons. I also like blunt weapons. I'm not really a firearm kind of person, but you know, what's not to love about a pickaxe?
Yes. And then did he have a machete or something machete type weapon that he gave to Thea at one point?
Oh,
Or
someone gets.
a
I think
stabbing weapon?
someone has a stabbing type weapon, and I think Nova might eventually use that to kill somebody, like to really kill them.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah.
Um, yeah, so much goes on. After that first guy gets infected, the crew, they're going to go back. The captain has finally said, all right, we'll send out a signal. We'll get the ship ready. We're going to leave the doctor and Thea here, and Cohen's
Mhm.
still locked up. So they're separated. Shit
Yep.
goes down. Space zombies start attacking. Their escape, Cohen and Thea's escape, is pretty wild. Then they get to the ship, find out it's bogged down, all this other stuff. They have to go back to the main ship, actually. I keep thinking of it as a base, but it's the big ship.
The second expedition's big ship. Yeah.
And they have to go back there, more space zombies, more people getting infected.
More
Just,
internal like skullduggery too, like who's ripping
yes.
all the stuff out of their flight compartments and making it so they can't start this, and who's, screwing up with the med stuff, and like, yeah, everybody's playing each other is the thing too.
And then, all right, so now this is probably going to be I mentioned it earlier, we're going to have spoilers. So this is probably going to be the biggest one. I'm going to throw it out there, folks. So be warned. So around this time, we learn that Cohen is infected, and it has given him powers. So he's
Yes,
got healing, quick healing, a little bit of super strength,
I think so, and
super
speed.
reflexes,
Yeah.
and telepathy with other infected.
Mm-hmm.
So there are people, we learn now that there are people that are immune. They can be infected by it, but it doesn't kill them, turn them into space zombies. It actually gives them abilities. And he learned this. He wasn't sure until a little telepathic communication with another character that is infected but not affected.
Exactly.
And then we have the whole, oh crap, did he infect Thea
Mm-hmm.
when he rescued her? Yes.
Yes.
So
Right.
yeah, all sorts, like it's a story that very much like Alien and Aliens that builds and builds and builds, and then by that last third or so is
Hmm.
just crazy.
Yeah.
Just so much going on, so much action, so many revelations.
Yeah.
It was really, really good.
I thought so too. I like that sort of, I like being eased into things when it comes to both, when it comes to horror in particular, but also like epic sci-fi and things like that. You know, start with a scene that just gives you that character and the in-depth introduction to them and a little bit of the background, and then you get your depth through the first few action scenes, and then by the end everything should be bonkers, right? Because you've got all the background you need. Now let's kill stuff. And
Yes.
it delivered that for me. Oh, and
Yes.
that
And people
makes,
keep getting separated,
yes,
and and people keep getting wounded.
wounded, yes, people
And
get
so
getting wounded and or not wounded, we just don't know in all of those cases. Ah, I love it, I love it, I love having sort of semi-viable reasons to grievously wound someone and then make them less grievously wounded. That's all, that's, I appreciate seeing that in a way that's not mutants, you know.
do you
So
feel the captain redeemed herself?
I felt so happy when she was let go. Do I feel like she redeemed herself? Ugh. I guess I feel sympathy for her character and sympathy with the situation that she was in. That being said, I'm an army brat, and uh I understand not arguing with your captain, but this was not a military expedition. This was a civilian expedition, and I think there were plenty of times in there where someone should have just clocked her across the head and been like, "All right, we're not doing this anymore. You have lost your objectivity if you ever had it."
Yeah, this is one of those cases where they're all actually working for the company.
Exactly.
So, like, Thea's not military, is she? The
No,
doctor wasn't.
they're not. They're all, then that's the thing with Nova and Dylan in particular, the two pilots, the captain and the pilot. They are one of the reasons that they bond is they both were kicked out of the Air Force Academy equivalent
Right.
for different reasons, but basically neither of them could cut it in that military
Milieu.
space. Yes. So they had to go civilian. They had to go commercial and corporate and work for this big company. And that being said, like, okay, I mean, yeah, she's your captain, but you also know she's going to be batshit crazy. You know she is because she's got something to prove, and her father is on this dead
Yes.
planet. So, I get that they're trying to be, you got to draw out the tension some way, but did I feel like she redeemed herself? How do you redeem the dead? You don't.
Yeah. I mean, well, she did apologize finally and admit she was wrong. And she did, while she's, again, this is spoilery, straight up spoilers, she did basically fight what was happening to her and take herself away from harming others.
It's true. The fact that she was given the opportunity to be in that position, though, at that point, you kind of want to shake Nova. It's like, stop it.
Yeah.
Just stop it. You're being silly now. And you know you're being silly. And so there were a few tropes in this that came up that I was a little less enthusiastic about. It's like, we have one queer kind of couple who sort of had a one night stand and now they're still kind of stuck on each other, but they're not letting that get in the way here, except at the very end. And then then we're going to bid them adios. So,
I was hoping those crazy kids would make it.
I guess not. Yeah, honestly, more people survived than I thought would. But
so wait, there were only 3 survivors.
I know. I know. Like one of them was.
You didn't think you thought there would be fewer than 3?
I kind of did. I know, but you have to have someone drive. So
there was no cat for Thea to take with her, so you had to have more people, I guess.
I guess so.
Jonesy.
Man, the cat was my favorite. Yeah. Yeah, no, but that was all to be expected too. So.
And then we have a cliffhanger ending.
Yeah.
Because they're rescued. And this was the one part, as I said, that I felt, to me, all of a sudden I was like, yes, now I know I'm reading an adult book. This really hits that trope, which is the young adults have to go up against the mega corporation or the government or whatever it is.
Right. Yeah. That's when it goes from being sci-fi horror into kind of, now we're delving into sci-fi thriller / dystopian / YA kind of territory. And you can see the setup for what might possibly be a romance in the future. And it's like, like I was satisfied by the ending. Honestly, I could leave it there. And just imagine in my mind the havoc that they would wreak upon, the people who have come to rescue them. That being said, I am going to read Immunity. Heck yeah, I'm going to read it. Yeah, dang straight. But but I started Contagion for the space zombies. So, and I feel like it delivered them. I feel like it delivered them so nicely. So,
And it
yeah,
seems like it's just going to be these two.
I think so. Yeah.
So we're not getting that dragged out, let's just keep going kind of thing.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
and like I I can't speak to like the Divergent books, but I did see the 3 movies, and that went on way too long. They were again. There's a reason we watched them on Bad Movie Night.
I know, I hear ya. I hear ya. I'm actually really weirdly picky too when it comes to my romance, probably because I'm so subsumed in that particular writing culture. Um, and one of the places that, I kind of can't stand it is in that YA like love triangulish context. I mean, give me all the Hunger Games, but at the same time, like, there's so much other stuff that these people are doing and or could be doing or should be doing, and we're worrying about, who they're in
Yeah,
love with. No, no, keep them
you
alive.
people are in dystopian futures. What are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Get your head around it.
Save the world first. Then you can worry about that.
Which possibly is an unfair kind of an unfair criticism for me, because when you're directing something at a young adult audience, romance is a big
Yeah.
part of that. Romance and hormones and that kind of thing is a big part of that life. But that's one reason I'm really careful about the YA I read, so I don't make bad judgment calls and diss things that plenty of people think are totally fine. You're allowed to make bad judgment calls when you're a young adult. It's part of being a young adult, absolutely. But I liked Contagion for many reasons, and one of those reasons was there was not a lot of like, it was horror. This was it was a horror novel. It was a science fiction novel. It was not. It didn't even really genuflect in the direction of serious romance, which is fine. It's
Yeah.
totally, totally lovely. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I probably won't get to this till next year. But
This is
well, I say
December,
that, but
buddy. By the way, it's December.
as of the time of this recording, I won't get to this until next year. But I am looking forward to it. As I said, my nephew and niece-in-law actually called me and said, or texted me and said, we are at Barnes and Noble, and this was on my birthday. I said,
Oh,
what books do you want for your birthday?
that's so
First
nice.
first thing I did was say Immunity, and then I threw a couple others out there, and they did not have Immunity. So
Ah,
they got me a different book, Pearl by Josh Mallerman, and a gift card. And I went over after they got home from being at the store. I went over to their place. We hung out till like 2:30 in the morning.
oh, nice.
I came home and immediately got online and used the gift card to get Immunity.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, see, Erin Bowman, totally worth reading. Really good job with Contagion. I can't wait to read Immunity. I think I'm going to dig it. And I'm also really looking forward to reading the Zombicide books. So thanks for bringing that up because, yeah, I want to read that. I think it's
Yeah,
going to
yeah,
be.
yeah. That's one that when I saw that Aconite was doing that. We'll get into sort of what Aconite's doing in a moment. But first, any final thoughts? Anything? Any last things you want to say about Contagion?
Uh, I thought that it was a great book with regards to managing a big cast, really good at pacing. This was a fun book, not just as a reader, but also as a writer who was reading, because I learn stuff from other people's writing all the time. And I feel like I really got some learning moments while also having moments of like, what? While reading this book. So, yeah, I really enjoyed it. And I'm happy I got the opportunity to talk about it. So, thank you.
Well, I'm glad you picked this, um, and introduced me to a great new book.
Awesome.
All right. So now back to Aconite. Um, I'm very happy with what they've been doing. As I said earlier, I was getting the Arkham Horror books because they were Arkham Horror, and didn't realize that they were Aconite until I started getting the Marvel stuff
Right. Oh, how
and
funny.
paying attention and seeing what else they were doing. But I've got the first book in the Pandemic series.
Nice.
The first Zombicide. I'd like to get basically almost everything they're doing in these things. I'd like to get the Terraforming Mars,
Those do
the
look good.
Descent books. Um,
I just got the first Legend of Five Rings book.
I want to get those.
Yeah.
I've played that game, and I've read both Arkham Horror and Legends of the Five Rings have had novels before,
Mm-hmm.
and I've read some of the older Legends of the Five Rings. Oh, and I like that they're doing the collections, because Fantasy Flight will put out little novellas for some of
Oh,
their games with cards for those games.
oh, how neat.
And so, but they're harder to find. I think I've gotten them at my local gaming store,
Mm-hmm.
but now they're Aconite's putting out like 4 or 5 of those in a single volume.
Oh, that's a good idea.
So
Gosh.
I think maybe the first Arkham Horror one is already out. I think the second one's already up. And I know there's a Legends of Five Rings, at least one of those as well.
Oh, very cool. I'll have to pick that up.
And I want to read the ones that are the Legends of the Rings ones that are it was a Shinobi Mystery,
Yeah.
I think is what they're called. Those seem very interesting to me.
They've got a lot of stuff in the works. Um, it's kind of hard to keep up with it all, and it's really funny for me to say that because I get the internal newsletters. I'm like, I know everything that's coming, but there's so much of it, I can't remember it all. But yeah, it's so cool. They've got their hands in all kinds of things, and I think they're doing a really great job with it. So,
Oh, I've got one of the Assassin's Creed.
oh yeah, oh man, yeah, they're picking up more Ubisoft stuff. Tom Clancy Sniper. What's Splinter Cell, Tom Clancy.
Right, right.
Yeah,
Oh,
which I'm
see, this only has the Marvel stuff listed in the back
right.
to see if there was I like now how the newer ones have a checklist in the back.
I like that too. That's good. I need to know what to do next.
So now, is there anything you can tell us about your next one, Black Cat?
Oh my God, it's just so much fun. Like I said before, the people. So I do an Easter egg with my Elsa Bloodstone book in Black Cat. So if you've read Elsa Bloodstone, you'll find that Easter egg. So I hope you read the Black Cat novel because I really think you will get a kick out of it. I think people who enjoy urban fantasy, it's not an urban fantasy book, it's a comic book style book, but it's still got that sort of expressive and strong heroine. Um, yeah, look for some Easter eggs. Uh, and just the cameos are outrageously fun. I got everybody. I got to do everyone I wanted. So big names. I just grabbed them out of the ether and I was like, I want these people. So yeah, if you don't have to know the comics or know the Marvel, like know it too deeply to wrap your brain around who these people are. I hope that I've given them enough of an introduction to make that unnecessary. But if you like heists, if you like sort of found family and teamwork and the mob and weird superpowers, then you're gonna enjoy Black Cat Discord.
Great. When is it being released?
March 1st,
Okay,
2022.
definitely looking forward to that. And I think the best Easter eggs are when for the non-fans, the people that aren't familiar with it, it just flows smoothly. It's part of the book. You don't notice that it's a wink and a nod.
I
But of
agree.
course, if you're a fan, you immediately go, "Oh yeah, I love it. It's right there."
I agree. Yeah. Yeah, it won't trip you up not to have read any of my other stuff, but if you did read Elsa Bloodstone, you'll get to that particular point and you'll be like, ah, yeah. So,
Now, any chance, um, and maybe you don't have enough of an inside track. Any chance that we're going to see any of these characters repeated? Like, is there a chance Elsa Bloodstone will get a second novel? Well, I guess they are because Doom has a second one.
Doom does have a second one. They're open to the idea. Um, I think some of it has to do with initial reception. Honestly, this was a rough
Sure.
year to publish.
Mm.
Um, So we'll see if I have anything to say about it. There will be more Elsa Bloodstone. And the next heroines novel I plan on pitching, you know, I love throwing Easter eggs and continuations in and things like that. So you can count on through threads in my Marvel heroines work, if at all possible. So I will, as long as I am here, there will be an advocate for Elsa Bloodstone.
I would love to see, and I suppose it would probably have to be in the Untold line, but like a Legion of Monsters.
Oh my God, that'd be so
Kind of
cool.
thing.
Oh,
And that's the thing. I don't know how this works because I have a hardcover Morbius novel
oh my God, yeah.
that I think it's from Titan. I'm not sure. Maybe I shouldn't say that. Um, I don't remember who published it, but it came out, I think, at the same time that Aconite was doing their books.
Interesting.
So I don't know how that if certain characters
I don't know
go from
either.
publishers.
I'm not sure how Marvel decides what goes where and who gets to do what. But honestly, a Legion of Monsters book would be amazing.
Love it. Or a Howling Commandos. The monsters Howling Commandos, not the World War II. Although I would love World War II Howling Commandos too, but yeah, I'm a monster guy. I love Marvel's monster characters.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah, yeah. I love monsters and I love the people who hunt them. So no, so it's good. And I also love, don't know how much you know about fanfic writers, but a lot of us love working off prompts. So I love hearing from other people what they like and what interests them, because you never know what's going to resonate. So yeah,
Back
fun.
back when I was in the Air Force, long before the internet, I was kind of a fanfic before I'd ever heard of fanfic, but I was stationed in Iceland
Oh my
and
gosh.
uh working nights. So I did a lot of just I was bored, so I'd write and I wrote um a I don't know if you're familiar with Solomon Kane.
I love Solomon
My
Kane.
favorite Robert E. Howard character. I wrote a Solomon Kane story. I tried writing Doc Savage.
Hmm.
I would do that sort of stuff.
I've read all the early Solomon Kane and Conan the Barbarian and all that very old but very good stuff.
Yes,
Yeah.
the old pulps, love them.
Oh yeah. Yeah. They're so take them as they are, you know? They are little time capsules, but I love them.
All right. Anything else that you want to promote or plug?
Uh for people who like romance, Kari Z comes out with a new one basically every month. Just because I'm republishing a lot of backlist because the publishing industry is a hellscape, especially for small publishers. So I got rights back to a lot of stuff and I'm republishing it
Nice.
on my own. Look me up on Patreon. I'm on Twitter. I loathe Facebook, so don't look me up there.
Okay.
Um, but yes, say hi. Say hi.
Do you
And
want to? You don't have to, but do you want to give out your Twitter handle so people
at
can find you?
sure, at author_Kari Z, all one word, Cariz.
Okay. I usually have links in the description for things so people can find you. All right. I think that brings us to the end. If you could just stick around for a minute after I finish my outro.
Yep.
And yeah, any last words, I guess.
I'm so happy to talk about Contagion. I love space zombies. Thanks again for asking me. This was
Thank you for being here.
a fun dive.
All right. Well, there you have it, folks. If you have any comments or questions, put them in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. You YouTube viewers know all this stuff. Thank you again to Cath Lauria. And I think that covers everything. I always feel like I'm forgetting something. I don't know what next week's episode is going to be, but by the time this goes up, I'll know. So it'll be in the description below. Check that out. And that's it. So until next time, folks, read more books. And